When I was like in secondary school, in high school, I wanted to be a writer or a journalist. And when it come to a point to choose my university courses, I thought it would be too silly to go into like to study Chinese language. So I chose film and animation instead. It was later when I start to see film by Amir and James. I was very inspired by them, and then I start to try making short film. And also later I realized it's a much nicer job than being a writer. It's nice to hang out with like a group of people making film together, and it's a less lonely job. I like it a lot because you have a group of friends doing things together. Like 20 years ago, if you would have to shoot your film with 60mm, 8mm, I guess it's quite impossible unless you are from a very rich family. It's a lot to do with the technology that you can just shoot your film on DV camera and then you edit it. I guess we started at a time that is actually quite nice for independent filmmaker making low budget film, and also at the same time with internet you can easily search for the resources you want, the education you need. It was Tak Chong, the film club president, and James and Amil, that they are the one who actually bring our film out whenever they have chance. Like if Amil travel to a festival, he will bring to the programmer, this is the new short film of some young Malaysian filmmakers. I think it was how they do at that time, that what they did make us do the same. Like now when we travel, we still carry films of other filmmakers. I grew up like as the only Chinese family in a Malay village, and we are into fishing business, which means we own boats and we have factory to process the fish, and many villagers work for us. This film itself is actually very much about the whole insecurity of the Chinese society in Southeast Asia. And the earliest memories I always have is about food. It's about like when you not finishing your food on the plate, and what my grandmother will always say is, do you know those people on the boats that never have any food to eat? Which is referring to the Vietnamese Chinese, the Vietnamese boat people who came to our village in the late 70s, early 80s. They were fleeing from the communist government, and they come with a lot of money, and with all this gold leaf and all that, they try to exchange food, and that thing will leave very strong impression on me. So the whole film is actually about food, about the ritual of calling everyone together to eat together, and it become like a repeat pattern of the film. And that's also my childhood memories. We will play on the beach all day, only go back to the house to eat.
Papa, Japan.
And all this ritual of food, I think is linked very much to the insecurity. In Malaysia, it's quite special because it is like the only country outside of Taiwan and China that have a very complete Chinese education. So like I can read and write quite well in Chinese. Malaysia is a very multiracial country, and my friend, he once says it's a multi-racist country. That there are just some community that never mix with other community. This politician in Penang, he make a statement to provoke the Chinese community, and he said something like, the Chinese, they are the immigrants, or a term like you just stay here for temporary. Although Malaysian Chinese, they are already there for a few generations. And he said it to justify that we cannot ask for the same right or the same privilege the Malays have because we are only immigrants, which the journalist just quoted him and reported this in a Chinese daily. A few weeks later, the journalist got arrested, but not the politician. It is okay for the Malay to say Chinese is immigrant, they are not qualified as citizen, but you can never ask the Malay to give up their privilege. And it's still, until now, you can only see only the Malay filmmaker, they can question that. In the end, the whole politics and the whole government is only to serve certain people, and you see more and more like the freedom of speech get oppressed, and it's about time we think we should really do something. So I guess things like this make you can't avoid to actually think about the situation the country is in, or if you could actually do anything.
3个月啊，他每3个月就可以骗到一个女孩子。开始的时候，他会跟他女朋友说，他会跟他结婚，然后假装很努力的做工。几个月过后，他就会失踪。
Love Conquers All. The story is actually inspired by a friend who told me the story how a pimp work. Like the seduce a young girl and tell them they are going to marry her, and then disappeared, and also like related to gang activities, and he get his friend to tell her that he's in trouble and he need money, and then they prostitute her, and so in a way the girl is almost like voluntarily giving her body away and always tricked. And so my story is actually about like a very cruel side of love, of like maybe a bit like a politic of love. Yeah.
You won the Rotterdam Tiger Award. How did that influence your work?
The film was like totally funded by Hubert Bau's fund, because I used the script money, the 10,000 euro, to make this film. And I don't know, in fact, after Love Conquers All, for quite some time I'm afraid to make film, because you're just afraid of the expectation and all this. And I start to break this by making film, but no matter they are good or not, I just try to make a short film. So after the feature film, so far now I have made 8 short films. Sometimes I'm even happy when they are bad. So just just keep on making like a practice. So that's what I'm doing now.
Liu Ciji.
Hey, Yuki.
你好。
好久不见了，你都好像没有变到。
When you realize you don't really need that much money, and you can live quite a simple life. In fact, you can do many things you want. In Malaysia, if you want, you can choose to live very simple life, and you can actually sustain the life like with very simple income. That's what I'm doing now. Just live simple, and if you don't need too much money, and then in fact you can do a lot of things.